fail. If I want to serve God and love God, I'll never backslide because of my love. Has anybody made up your mind you're going to serve the Lord? Anybody got a heart to live for God? Anybody want to let the devil know today, hey, devil, I'm not giving up, backing up, letting up, or shutting up. I'm ready to stand up and lift up because I'm in love with the Savior. Eve eats the fruit. Adam comes along and eats it again. The Lord begins to cast them out of paradise because they disobeyed the word of the Lord. The lie that Satan gave the woman was this: in the day that you eat of this fruit, you won't die, but you'll be like gods. Pride. I can be equal. I won't have to answer to nobody. And all of a sudden, they realize that the devil's a liar, and he's the father of all lies. Because when they believed a lie, it was their pride that caused them to take the bait on the hook and say, well, instead of just fellowshipping with God, I can be his partner. The worst sin that could ever come into a man's life is pride. It's the most destructive of sins. It's the most damaging of sins. It will remove you from a paradise to an exile. Pride, 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 pride. Everybody say pride. Pride is a great deceiver. It makes men feel greater than what they really are. Pride is a great thief. It robs men of the ability to trust God. Pride always goes before destruction. A haughty spirit goes before a fall. Pride, there's nothing good about pride. Pride will never say, I'm sorry, even when your family's walking out the door. Pride will make a man believe that he's equal with God. I don't have to answer to nobody. I don't need God. I don't need a preacher. I don't need nobody. That's what pride will tell you. I can make it without that. I can make it without God. Pride, 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 pride. Somebody say pride. It's a detrimental spirit. It's an evil spirit that brings destruction. Pride will keep people from true praise and worship. Pride will keep people from living holy. Pride will cause hypocrisy in the saint. Pride will cause isolation in the lukewarm and separation in the backslidden. Pride fights against the humbling of people to God. Pride says you don't need that. Pride says you need to stand strong in the midst of your problem. Yeah, I believe that. But you stand strong in God. Having done all to stand when the adversary comes against you, then stand therefore. Just stand in God. When you ain't got the strength to stand by yourself, God said, then stand in me. I'll be all the strength you need. If you can acknowledge the fact that it's not by your might, not by your power, but it's by God's Spirit, you're a wise man, because it don't matter what you go through. It don't matter what you come out of. As long as you know God's with you, you're going to be all right. Everything's going to be just fine. As long as you know that God's promise, his presence beside you, then it's all right. I know I can't make it by myself. I'm not that big of a dunce. I can't live for God if God's not going to be with me. Let me say it again. Moses said, God, if you're not going to go with us, then we don't want to go at all. But if you're going to go with us, take me as far as you want to take me. Pride. Drives a man deep into a pit. Then once he gets into the pit, he's too proud to say, I need to come out. Once he's driven into the pit, he's too proud to lift his arm up and wave and say, somebody help. He will die and digress and rot in a hole before he'll say, somebody help. Pride. That's what pride does. Pride will look that woman in the face and lie like a sailor because he knows what he's done's wrong. He knows what he's been's wrong. Pride, pride, pride. The Bible tells us of two men in the Bible. I'm going to talk to you about both of them. The first one I want to talk about is a man by the name of Nebuchadnezzar. In the book of Daniel, you read about this man. Daniel was 16 years old when he went into Babylonian exile. His prophetic ministry lasted the whole 70 years of exile into Babylon. Daniel was put into a government position. They recognized, because of his commitment to God and the sacrifices he made, they recognized this young man's got a future. This young man's touched of the Lord. This young man knows where he's going. He's solidified. He's not going to bend. He's not going to bow. And as the Hebrew boys probably could say it, we're not going to burn. Daniel knew who his God was, and his God knew who Daniel was. God did not forsake him, but he held on to him. It's easy to be